Hey, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode. Join us tonight where you find out what a Marine vet and an Army vet who loves cigars get together and talk about old school wrestling. Everybody, welcome to DI, Bob Backburn.
What's happening, boys? Hey,
How you doing, brother?
apparently, I'm not, Class A material enough to rate the two West boys to actually show up.
Well, Rodney didn't want to be out healed, and Brent's said he talked too much last night. His voice was give out on him. So
He's
we'll
out of words.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Bob, how did you get started? Who you trained by? Tell us your story.
Well, so I was working in gyms after I got out of the Marine Corps. I'm working in gyms down in Gastonia, North Carolina, and I'm selling memberships and all that. And I got a consulting gig to go and teach another gym how to do what we were doing. So the owner of that particular gym was a guy by the name of Gene Ligon, and Gene wrestled as Thunderfoot #2. He did development for Crockett forever.
Yep.
And so Gene, one day we had been working together, and Gene said, I said, hey, I'm kind of interested in this wrestling thing. What's this all about? He said, well, meet me at the exit at Shelby, North Carolina. We'll drive down to Atlanta for TV taping, and I'll show you. So we go down there. I watch the show, and I'm giving him a whole bunch of nonsense. And anyway, it was fun, Came back, and on July 12th, my birthday, in 1985, I had a tryout with Nelson Royal and Gene Anderson. The tryout was in a cornfield in Mooresville, North Carolina. We did a 5-mile run. Mind you, this is July in the middle of North Carolina. 5-mile run, then a 1.5 miles up and down a hill shuttle run. And then you had to carry a guy on your back up and down the hill. Another guy, then the guy carried you. Then you did 1 push-up, sprinted 50 yards, 2 push-ups, sprinted 50 yards, 3 push-ups, up to 25 push-ups. If you're doing the math, that's 250 push-ups. Did I say anything about a glass of water or a drink or a break? Because there wasn't one. Then you got in the ring with a guy that could actually really wrestle. And by this time, you're out of gas. There's no fighting. You're done. I mean, you're just. I was like a Bachman pretzel. By God's grace, it was actually Ligon that was doing the stretching that day, so he didn't hurt me too bad. And then Gene Anderson, he dotted a couple of guys right in the noodle. I mean, right in the eyes. They were guys that showed up for this tryout dressed up in a gimmick. Some brought their valets. I mean, there was 250 people that showed up for this tryout in the middle of Hooterville, and four of us actually made it.
Wow!
And it was a hootenanny from there on.
All right. So, what was your first territory that you went to work in?
Well, my very first thing was I worked under a hood for Crockett. Nikita had just turned babyface, and with Dusty.
All right, I remember that great angle.
Murdoch. It was Murdoch. The match was Murdoch, Dusty, and Nikita against Ivan Koloff, Vladimir Petrov, who I believe had just been released from prison. And he was a big son of a gun. Couldn't wrestle a lick, but he was a building. And then yours truly as the Big Red Machine. And if anybody's actually semi-quasi interested, this match exists somewhere on the WWE network. But Murdoch turns and ends up turning on Dusty at the end of this match. So the match gets started with Nikita and I, and it's pretty quick. Boom, boom, boom. I take a 360 bump onto my face off the sickle. Roll up out of the way. Murdoch turns heel, and that was the end of my time with Crockett at that point. And then Nelson helped me, and I got booked into with Mario and Angelo Savoldi up in the ICW, which was basically all around New England, parts of New York. Like we would wrestle in the Catskills and some of those old resorts,
Right.
Long Island. Up as far a little bit into Montreal from time to time. We wrestled in Bangor, Maine, which is basically as far away as you can go in the United States and not be in Canada. And I wrestled there as Irish Bobby O'Brien. And Irish Bobby O'Brien didn't make a dime, not a red dime.
I worked for the Savolis once, so I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the miles were long, the paydays were short, the BS was deep. The couple of funny things up there. We were one night. I go to the dressing room, and where the main event is like a 25-man over the top rope battle royale. Bring whatever you want. So there are clowns in the dressing room that have about 8 minutes experience, and they've got chairs and trash cans and kendo sticks and baseball bats. And I'm looking around a little nervous, and I come in and Blackjack Mulligan is in the dressing room. And all these young guys who didn't know nothing from nobody are talking to him. And I was taught different. Nelson told me, you keep your mouth shut until somebody talks to you, other than going around and saying hello. So Mulligan looks at me and says, what are you going to tell me? I looked at him. I said, not a thing, sir. I'm just going to sit over here in the corner and put my boots on if that's all right with you. He said, heck no, you sit right here next to me. So I sat down next to him. I still tie my boots, put my stuff. He said, what are you bringing to the ring? I said, well, I've got these 2 chalkboard erasers that I've wrapped in brick-colored tape. He said, I'm with you, kid. And we proceeded to pound the nonsense out of each other. Every time we'd hit one another, the chalk dust would flow. It looked like mortar.
That was pretty good. Now I understand you got some. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I just gonna say I understand you got some stories about the Iron Sheik and Tony Atlas.
Yeah, so probably I don't know if it was on the it wasn't on the same tour. Was one of the other. We used to tour like twice a month, and we're up in Lewiston, Maine, and we're wrestling in the same building that Muhammad Ali fought in, and fought Sonny Liston in that same arena. So Sheik's on the card, Tony Atlas is on the card. Neither one of them at the time had a great reputation for getting to the next show. So the promoter said to me, he said, Bobby, he said, can you get these 2 guys down to Long Island? So you got to figure that you're looking at total trip time, probably like 9 hours. You got to get from Lewiston through Boston and out to Long Island. So I said, boss, I got a Renault Alliance, which is basically a small 4-door golf cart with doors. He said, well, you'll be all right. So I stuffed the Sheik in the front.
Sorry, I didn't quite.
I stuffed the Sheik in the front seat. We butter Tony Atlas and stuff him in the back. Sheiky gets in the car and he says, Bubby, we must have stopped at the state police barracks in Portland. I said, for what? Oh, they confiscated my hash pipe. I must get to my hash pipe back. I smoked with all the great wrestler. I looked at him and I said, Sheiky, we're not stopping. Not for that. Not at all. So we get to Boston. You got to love my mother, Italian. My mom's Italian, first generation in this country. Very, very educated woman. Really did not talk to me very much during my, 6+ years wrestling. My grandmother actually called me a bum, but that's another story. And Sheik and I show up with Sheik in Atlas at about 2 a.m. My mom gets out of the rack and starts cooking for these knuckleheads. So we have a dinner, go to bed, get up, go to the gym next morning. So Atlas, he says, Bobby, he said, I'm going to bench today. Can you spot me? I'm like, okay. I mean, I was, 275 or whatever, but I didn't have arms or strength like Atlas had.
Right.
So he warming up and whatnot. The next thing I know, he said, okay, Bobby, I'm ready. I'm looking at the plates and I'm counting. It's 650. He's got 650. I said, Tony, for the record, if you can't lift it, I'm dumping it to your right because I can't pick it up. He proceeds to do triples, 3 pauses with 650. Brought it down, count of 10, boom. Down and down, count of 1, boom. For a triple at 650. The man was insane. But I got the boys to Long Island. Didn't get money.
All right. So you worked for Stu Hart.
I did.
Tell me about that.
That was a short run. I was finishing up with Savoldi. I'd gotten introduced to Stu from Nelson. Nelson made some calls for me. Actually, there's a precursor to that story. Before I went there, I'm working for Savoldi, and there's a kid by the name of Eric Spracia, and he was a regional talent. You know what I mean? Mostly in indies and never really worked on any main platform. And he was their light heavyweight champion. And he's a heel, and evidently Mario and Angelo was still very much involved. They weren't happy with what was going on. They needed to get the strap off of him and on to the next guy. So he tells me, he said, Bobby, I'm booking you with Spracia, blah blah blah. We're gonna drop the strap. I said, what is a light heavyweight anyway? I was about 255, but I was still on the thinner side. I actually had a whole head of hair. It was permed. You had one of the pictures on your thing. I always tell people I got a perm and my hair never grew back. But anyway, so they give Spracia the finish. He doesn't want to do the job. So I looked at Angelo and I said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Just take the belt." I said, "Okay." So we get to where the finish was. It's supposed to have been a little, face roll, a sunset flip deal. I sunset flip him. He blocks it. And all right. So, you get up and it's kind of awkward. I looked at him and I said, "You might want to protect yourself." Punched him right in the nose, dropped him, rolled him up and held on to him. Roll out. They give me the belt. Woo. I'm a baby face. I'm the most unlikely baby face it's ever been in the wrestling business. So I go back to the dressing room. I hand the belt to Mario and to Angelo. I said, "Is that what you had in mind?" And they went, "Yeah, pretty much."
Okay. All right. We're going to take a quick merchandise break here and plug our stuff, and we'll come right back. We got all kinds of T-shirts, cell phone covers, coffee cups, face masks, belly bags. We got everything in the world you'd want. Facebook, Pro Wrestling Inside and Out. Go to our page, and right there at the top is a Shop Now button. Just push that button. It'll take you right to our Teespring store. We have reduced prices on all the T-shirts. Go in there, get you something, and help support the show here. All right, let's move on to Continental. Tell me about.
I had to go to Calgary. Let me go.
Oh,
to
okay,
Calgary.
okay. I'm sorry.
No worries. I diverted you. I finish up, and I'm working with Paul Vachon, the butcher. And when we finished up, we were up in like Vermont somewhere. So we were probably about 2 or 3 hours from his mother's farm up in Montreal, outside of Montreal. So we go to the farm in Montreal, spend a couple of days, and then I'm going to drive back down to the States to Buffalo, go across the top of the United States, and then pop up into Calgary to make my first date. Well, the best laid plans of mice and men. I get to Buffalo and I blow the tranny on my 81. No, was it 81? Yeah, 81 Toyota Corolla. I dropped the transmission right in the middle of Buffalo somewhere. So I get a bus ticket and I take a Greyhound 55 hours across Canada.
Wow.
I get to the bus depot, and this is all pre-cell phone. You got a quarter type stuff. So put a couple of quarters in the payphone. Hey, Stu, it's O'Brien. I'm here. Small problem. My car broke down, but I took the bus. I don't know where to go. Who are you? I'm like, Stu, this is no time to be playing around. I'll send my son. So he sends Smith down to get me. Takes me to the St. Regis Hotel. $65 a week. There's a bathtub in the middle of my room. The crapper and the shower are across the hall, like family style. I'm there with you probably remember David Sheldon, Angel of Death.
Yep.
So I'm there with Sheldon, Pillman, Owen, Benoit. So Stu brings me out to his house, to where the dungeon is.
Right.
And he begins and he starts giving me the grab, and he grabs, my shoulder, and then the next thing you know, he's got me stretched in the middle of the kitchen with a cat running across my forehead, taking a dump. Okay. He's got these knives that in the crack of your counter sometimes where you get that little bit of griddle or whatever that's you got to clean out. Looks like the stuff under your fingernails. He sticks the knives down in that. Okay. Then you get to go to the dungeon, and him and a couple of other guys will, start to dislodge your head. So they put me to work. I'm working with the Cuban assassin. That's about right. That picture. I work with a Cuban assassin. He DDTs me onto the floor in the Edmonton Coliseum, onto the concrete. Fortunately, my cranium is about 3/4 concrete already, so I didn't get that hurt, I don't think, but I do probably have had a few hundred concussions. So then he comes to me about, I don't know, I worked every night, just some awful places. And then he comes to me and he says, O'Brien, we're going to change your gimmick. We're going to turn you heel. You're going to wear a cassock to the ring. You're going to be called Father O'Brien. And we're going to give you a Bible. And when the other fella's starting to get the best of you, you'll go into the Bible and get the brass knuckles and give them a whack. Well, you got to understand that I'm a Catholic at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a lot of fear about God at this point in my life. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think that I'm going to get hit with lightning or something. I don't think this is a great idea. In retrospect, I should have done it. But I didn't. So I was there about, I don't know, a little over a month and a half. Started making calls, and I got a hold of Robert Fuller. Again, Nelson, paved the road. Got a hold of Robert. I got a hold of Bob Armstrong. And, they said, well, what's your gimmick? And I said, I've watched how Slaughter does his stuff. I said, I think I can do it different, and I think better. I said it's not as cartoonish, and so he said, "All right, let's go with it." So I got a call and ended up down there, and I started in Birmingham, on TV, probably not too far ahead of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell me about Gordon Solie.
So, Gordon was still doing the TV there when I first got there, and I'm a little fuzzy about the order of when, because we had Ron West. It was running things. There was a guy Don Curtis. Then Eddie and Paul D. They just came in when the Woods bought it.
Right.
So, but I'm always a little fuzzy as who was where when, But when I got there, Gordon was still doing the TV, and so the first night I worked, the kid that I wrestled with he was a good kid. He just maybe didn't know what his role was. And, I called something for him. He missed it. I called something for him again. He missed it. And I popped him pretty good, you know, open hand pop, you know,
Right.
that reverberated all over the Birmingham Fairgrounds. So the guys in the back were a little nervous, you know, because here I am day one and I'm lighting. I lit somebody up. So I had kind of prepared. They said I was going to do an interview. So I had gone down to Tuscaloosa on my way in, and I got a Bear Bryant replica hat. So I walk out onto the stage, and I've got a cigar in my mouth. I always had a little chew going, kind of part of my gimmick. And I got this hat, and I got this Bear Bryant hat, you know, and I said, Gordon, what do you think this is? And he's selling it. He starts begging off. He said, that's the Bear Bryant's hat, you know? I said, oh, I thought it was a spittoon. And I blow a big old chew wad into that thing. And that's back in the day when the television, when the TV studios had the switchboard, right? You know,
Yeah.
Walls of that thing lit up like a Christmas tree in New York. Well, people wanted to see me die. So Gordon Solie really kind of got me over because I mean I came in as a kind of a middle card guy. You know, I would some nights I'd jerk the curtain and come back, and Robert Fuller and Jimmy Golden would have me as the third man and a sixth man. So I took 90% of the bumps and all the jobs, and then it was a little bit after that they got me to work with Randy, and Randy, dude, he adopted me, like literally. I had a room in his gym in Alex City. Randy had a little gym in Alex City, Randy's gym, and there was an office, and we converted the office into the DI hut, and I had it look just like a DI hut with the wall locker and the foot locker and the rack, and you know, it was kind of on from there.
Good deal. All right. Tell me about your experience with Austin Idol.
Oh, so we're doing promos in Birmingham, and I forget what the angle was or whatever. I mean, this is what it was, 30-something years ago, dude. I'm lucky if I can tell you what I had for breakfast. But I remember we're cutting promos, and he was the heels were going first, right? And then the baby faces were doing their thing. So I always tried to be topical with my stuff. I talked way better than I worked, and I always tried to be topical. Old school heel stuff, you know, lie when everybody knew what they saw, you know. And so Idol, we deliver our promo, and then baby faces will follow. Well, we did about 2 rounds of that, and I forget if it was, I don't remember if it was Ron or Curtis. And he says, no more. He said, I'm going first. Let this kid try to follow my stuff. I can't follow him. And that was pretty cool.
Good deal. All right. And I found out something about you that for whatever reason, I didn't know about till tonight. But you wrote Arn Anderson's autobiography for him.
Yeah, after Continental kind of closed down or whatever, when Continental imploded in like early '89.
Yep.
Eddie got me booked into Memphis, and I was roommates with what was his name then? Master of Pain. People now know him as The Undertaker. It was me and him and Papa Shango, whatever he was then, became the Godfather.
Right.
There was 5 of us in a 1-bedroom apartment. Let me tell you, fine living, fine. I slept underneath the kitchen table, but we when I got out in actually, it's funny. I went in on my birthday and I got out on my birthday. Basically, I wrestled my last match on my birthday. I wrestled Dustin Rhodes Runnels, who Gene Anderson used to take me to Mecklenburg High School to wrestle with Dustin when he was a heavyweight high school wrestler, just because they didn't have anybody big enough to work out with him. Anyway, so I got out of the business at that point. I was in Charlotte, and Arn and I had been friends, and I'd gotten into the insurance business and actually helped Arn with a couple of things and went through all the stuff with him with his surgery and all that. There was a nice thing he did one of his podcasts about that. Anyway, so I said to him, I said, dude, I said, Ted DiBiase wrote a book, but his book is pretty much, it's more about religion and, stuff. And I said, why don't we write a book? And he thought I was nuts. And so I sketched it out, and I pre-sold the book before it was written. And then I went around. He was working in the office at that point for, I'm thinking it was still WCW, maybe Vince at the time. There was a crossover where he was working for, one or the other.
Yeah.
And I would go to the towns, and we get the hotel room, and I'd interview them, copious tapes, and then I'd take the tapes and send them to a guy that was working with us, and he transcribed everything, and then I took it and kind of massaged it and edited it and created all the chapters and the pictures and all that, and then we delivered the books. We delivered the first 1,000 books were autographed hardcovers or whatever, and then we sold the paperbacks, and then we ended up selling the book off itself. We sold off the publishing rights to a guy that is still producing them.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. Well, so tell everybody what you're doing today. What's life with the DI like now?
Got that Lexus, baby.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm selling. I sell for Lexus here in Virginia Beach, and then I also have an organization called NCVA DD214 Golf Tour, and we have an organization basically to help veterans and active duty military guys, talk to each other so they don't kill themselves.
That's awesome.
And then I got 2 boys, one getting ready to go in the Navy, 18-year-old, and a 16-year-old junior in high school.
Is that the one I met?
You met Thaddeus. Yeah, the oldest.
Got you.
Yeah, when we went down to that reunion, I don't know, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
And then we went up to your house.
Yeah.
And then just 57 years old, brother, trying to stay one step ahead of the bill collectors and the reaper.
Well, the reaper's the one you really got to worry about. The bill collectors will come after you even after you die.
Yeah, that's what they keep telling me.
All right, man. Well, if Brent will flash up some comments from our viewers, we'll see if we got any questions there
See if
that we can
anybody
answer.
cares.
Yeah. Oh, there's a bunch of them on here. All right. Did the DI have any encounters with Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer?
No.
That's
Well, he was. I was in a dressing room with him once. The guy that I worked with though was Dick Slater, and Randy and I did a program with Dick Slater. The most complicated finish guy in the business. Very detailed finish. Very, very, very. He was one of the. He was brilliant, and I don't think enough people knew it. How brilliant he was.
all right. Jason Weeks, good evening. I enjoy a great cigar myself. Jason used to wrestle as Jason Valentine. Jason and I meet about once a month at a cigar bar over in Rome, Georgia, and burn a stick and have a beer and just talk about the old days when we both used to be good. We kind of lie about that part, but
Jason Bariay, Bariay, 1492, brother. Look that thing up. You will not be disappointed.
Mickey Mayfield from our YouTube channel. Odd question, but I always wondered what happens during the match if you have tummy troubles. Any personal stories?
I'm trying to remember. No, I don't think I ever crap myself.
I know I never did. I had an iron stomach though. I used to eat before I would wrestle. Never had an issue, but I was on some cards with some guys who did have an issue a time or two, but bless their hearts, we won't go into those details.
How nasty they are. I don't have a tummy story, but I do have a knockout story. I was working with Frankie the Thumper, Columbus, Mississippi. We're jerking the curtain, and we tore the place down. I mean, that match did not belong on first, but anyway, it was just a great match. Well, I called for a backdrop. He decided to kick me. So if I'm going to get kicked, obviously I'm going to,
right,
protect my face. I didn't. He caught me flush right there. Oh. I wrestled 10 minutes. Out. I woke up in the shower. Apparently, it was one of the better matches I've ever had. But yeah, no tummy trouble. But I was knocked out a couple of times.
Yeah, that was the Lavender Coliseum there in Columbus. Yeah, hottest building I absolutely believe in the United States.
Yeah, they haven't met a fan they liked.
All right, let's see who's next.
Was it Florence where we didn't have a shower, used the hose out in the parking lot?
Seems like it.
I think it was Florence. Yeah. The West boys would remember if they had enough guts to show up. He's talking, but I can't hear him. He says,
"Yeah, we can't hear you, Brent."
All right, can you hear me now?
There we go.
Yeah,
got
when
you.
He talked about Frankie Lancaster, he got some heat with me over here. So I thought I was going to have to drop on to talk about Frankie Lancaster to the Thumper.
I love the Thumper, man.
He was an all right guy. He was just a little crazy.
He was insane. I've been trying to get a hold of him for a number of years, but nobody's been willing to, call him or give him my number.
Well, I'm pretty sure we can find him on here and get in touch with him.
I do have a hookup. As a matter of fact, the guy that's got the hookup, I've got to call him when we get off the air tonight. So I'll get some info for you.
I'd love to talk to him.
But by the way, I don't want to talk to Frankie Lancaster. So don't tell him hello. That's a long story. So
he was strong, boy.
Yeah, Frank. All right, let me ask you a question. We got to talk about it because nobody asked this question. Private Pile.
Oh yeah.
Which Jay Strongbow's son. What's some stories about him?
That was well, first of all, God rest his soul. He committed suicide a handful of years ago. The day, I don't remember exactly when. He was crazier than a coot. Just insane. He would, the truth be told, he probably would have done really well in that ECW era when they were jumping off of the building and the only finish they didn't use was a .38 revolver to the forehead. He was crazy, and he could bump. But boy, we had to rein him in on the nightly because he could go. But I abused that kid. I mountain climbed him. That kid must have done 10,000 mountain climbers while we were in Continental.
I liked him. He was a very nice kid. I was a kid too at the time. So
and his mom was just a sweetheart. So here's a funny story. So me and Randy are coming out of I think Panama City, something like that, and we're going up to Opa-locka to make TV. We got the straps, right? So we're tag champs. So they kind of need us for TV. Well, I had a 1974 Cadillac Brahome Eldorado that Randy's 17-year-old, now 40-something-year-old son spray painted camouflage. So I got this camouflage Cadillac. We're rolling up some 2-lane road on our way to Opa-locka. And the transmission decides that it's going to stay in Florida. So transmission drops. We pull over. I send the the Mark Pyle. I send Private Pyle because we saw a store back there about 4 miles or more. We send him back on the hump with a bunch of quarters to call the building to send somebody to come get us. So I'm sitting with Randy in the car, and I looked at him and I said, Demo, you got your gun? He said, you know I do. I said, do it have bullets? He said, you know it does. I said, give me that son of a gun. I took the 6-shooter, went behind the car. I said, Randy, you better want to get out of the car. He said, why? I said, I'm about to shoot it. I pulled the tags off of it, knocked the VIN off of it, got about 6 feet behind it, and boom, boom, boom. Laid 6 in it, blew it up on the side of the road, and they came, by the grace of God, they did send I don't know if it was your dad or who, somebody sent the rescue vehicle.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, he was making that story up. He didn't do that. He was just telling that for dramatic purposes for this program. We just wanted. This is the wrestling business. That was a work. It was a complete work, and that. Mitch Lucas.
What do they call it? The statute of limitations has passed.
Okay, all right then. I'll go with that then. I just want to make sure we're okay with all that. Mitch Lucas does our Thursday Continental Championship Wrestling discussion. Said Continental has some great teams: Fuller, Golden, the Stubbs, and Anthony. The Southern Boys, the Nightmares. And if you're going to do the list, the Honor Guard, the DI, and the Demo is on it without question.
Well, thank you. That's very kind, Mr. Lucas. It was we had a great. I mean, it was a clinic every night. I mean, you know, we worked with Sika and Kokina, who became Yokozuna, who has since passed. You know, the Nightmares. Those are the two. I think if you have a top 10 list of underrated talent, those two guys should be on it. Kenny and Danny were just insanely good. The Southern Boys, they were, you know, I mean, Steve and Tracy, man, like we had some wars with them. I'd still laugh with because we did like a three-way deal with it was Sika and Tukina, me and Randy, and then Shane and Psycho there, Sid, Humongous, and at some point we were the babyface. And I still hadn't figured that one out, but anyway.
Well, actually, Sid started talking to people, and when he did that, he just turned heel automatically just by talking to them.
Well, you know, it's funny. One night I'm working with him, and we had just turned him babyface, and he throws me into the corner, and he runs into the corner and gets up on the second rope to hit me on the head. The guy's 6'9". I'm only 6'4". I walk right out in between his legs. I take a bump. He's like, so we hook back up, and he's like, why'd you walk away? I said, nobody's going to believe you need to stand on the second rope to hit me. You can hit me on the top of the head standing right here.
Alan, I think it says Haberman, does it, Jack? Haberman?
Yeah, Haberman, yeah.
He said, how did the DI like wrestling for ICW and the Savolis?
Well, you know, listen, the money was short, but, you know, I was working 3 or 4 nights a week. You know, on the weekends, we worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, basically. So the miles weren't great, the money wasn't great, but the experience was great. I got to work with you know, they always brought in, you know, somebody big. You know, they brought in people that were kind of on the downslope. I worked with Putski. I worked with Putski's son. I worked with what's his name? San Martino's kid. I worked with Rusty Brooks, who was a heavy guy, but he could move for a big man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good hand. Him and Dr. Tim something.
Tim Brooks?
Huh?
Tim Brooks?
Maybe it was Tim Brooks. Yeah, he was had this doctor gimmick. He was Rusty's partner. Great. I mean, you know, so I had some great experiences. You know, and I mean, that's where you learn to work. You know, it was something different every night. You learned how to listen. You learned what you needed to do. You learned what you shouldn't do. You know, other than trying to keep the Iron Sheik out of jail, it was all right.
Yeah, we've gone off on that rabbit trail a time or two about that.
Not the
One
Red
thing
Robin,
that,
that's right.
yeah.
I think Jack's he's went into the land of an unknown. He's went to parts unknown on us already.
Yeah, God bless him.
Hey, there I am.
Michael wanted to know, and I think you touched on this earlier on. He said, who came up with the idea for DI and Private Pile? And I think you said you came up with that.
Yeah, I did. And then if anybody actually gives a crap, all this stuff is on YouTube. But we did a series of steps where if he didn't beat Dirty White Boy, then he had to come into the honor guard. We shaved his head. We inducted him just like we did boot camp. I actually gave him in the Marine Corps when you go to Parris Island, they give you this red binder and they call it the red book. And I had mine, still had it. And that was what we used. It was all part of it. The gimmick was authentic.
I love it. Mickey wants to know, was Stu Hart as tough as they say?
Worse. Sick. Demented. But I learned something, and it taught me some things that I didn't know about myself. But there wouldn't have been any DI if there wasn't Stu Hart who wanted to make me a priest.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done that either. So,
yeah, I figured I was going to get hit by lightning.
All right, Jack, is there anything we need to? I just wanted to come on because I heard him talking about Frankie Lancaster. I wanted to come on and.
Yeah, you just wanted to show your face because I'd embarrass the entire West family.
Yes, I didn't want to not show up, but I wanted to let you, tell your story.
Listen, I also recognize this is a special day. It would have been your dad's birthday, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and, it was. I was blessed to have worked with him and for him, and I don't remember half of what I should and most of what I don't, but I do know that he had a positive impact, and I was grateful to have that opportunity. So, in memoriam, here's to your dad.
All right, thank you so much, Bob. Jack, I'm going to let you close it out, but I wanted to come on and thank you so much, Bob, for coming on here and being a part of this.
Yeah, thank you, Bob. It's been great. Anybody hadn't figured that out, we met back in the Continental days. Didn't see each other for years. Reconnected a few years back through the miracle of Facebook, and I have been privileged to have gotten more than a few cigars from Bob, and I appreciate those. They were all smoked in your honor.
Did you tell Rodney Brent what I said to you when we first met?
I don't remember.
I said to him, he said, well, yeah, we met, at the Continental. I said, was I a butthole? He said, no. I said, oh, great.
I don't remember you ever being a butthole, but
no, everybody was great back then, really, except for Austin. So,
and a couple other guys, Shawn Michaels, wasn't too nice.
A couple other guys.
Yeah. There was a couple guys. I remember Scott.
I was there the night they got fired, so I remember.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was just trying to get in. I wasn't actually on the show, but I was there that night. Anyway, thanks, Bob, for coming on. The DI. Appreciate the stories and the cigars and the friendship, and thanks to all our fans for tuning in tonight. And we will be back Thursday night with another Continental show. Friday night, Mid-South review that'll be only on our YouTube channel. So join us for the other shows this week, and we'll see you guys later.